外宾8分钟之后才会到，现在印度国歌那个时间
好，我要等到他们到。
Is also a popular Taiwanese folk music. It's called Craving for the Spring Wind, 望春风.
And next, ladies and gentlemen, we shall present to you some other more Taiwanese folk music. White Peonies by 牡丹. next, before our distinguished guests have arrived here, okay. We're going to welcome our distinguished guests. So the next song. On behalf of AFACT Secretariat, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all the distinguished guests. Welcome you all again to the Establishing Digital Economic Communities in Asia-Pacific Region Forum. At the same time, let me extend my cordial greetings and heartfelt gratitude to all guests and friends present. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, just a friendly reminder that it is highly recommended to maintain social distancing at least 1.5 when outdoors and 1 indoors. Continue to wear your mask in the presence of others, and please cover your mouth and nose when sneezing or coughing. The event will begin shortly. Just a friendly reminder, the event will start in a few minutes. So please remember to turn off your mobile phones or switch to silent mode. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Honorable Minister Designated Audrey Tang with a round of applause. Good morning. Your Excellency, Minister Designate Audrey Tang, honorable guests, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, and media representatives. I'm Shally Hu, your host for this morning. On behalf of AFACT Permanent Secretariat, I'm so delighted to welcome all of you to the forum. To all participants, especially our distinguished guests from India and Japan, welcome. For those who are unable to attend the forum in person, we're delighted to have you join us on WebEx. AFACT stands for Asia Pacific Council for Trade Facilitation and Electronic Business. Since the first quarter of 2022, the Institute for Information Industry of Taiwan has officially undertaken the responsibility of the Permanent Secretariat of AFACT. The goal of AFACT is to promote the commitment and development of trade facilitation, electronic business policies, and activities in the Asia-Pacific region, mainly focusing on those promoted by UN CFACT, to guide, to stimulate, to improve, and promote the ability of business, trade, and administrative organizations, as well as to exchange products and relevant services effectively within AFACT community. Now, I would like to brief you on the International Forum today. In the age of global digital community, the subject of cross-border data exchange has risen to considerable importance. Digital trade, cross-border trade facilitation, and the digital transformation of global logistics are crucial not only to the economic development for all, but also to the global digital trade value chain. We're pleased to invite you to join the forum on-site and online. Please refer to the brochure for your agenda and feel free to share information with anyone that might be interested. The forum will be broadcast live online and conducted in English. On-site interpretation services are not provided. I hereby declare the forum open with every confidence in its fruitful outcome. To begin with, we're very delighted to invite Dr. Chen Hongzhuo, the head of delegation of Taiwan AFACT and the president of Institute of Information Industry Taiwan, to give us his welcome remarks.
Suzuki-san, Xu-Tiantai 董事长, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the Establishing Digital Economic Community in Asia-Pacific Region Forum. The subject we will explore is trade facilitation, and it has come to include the cross-border data exchange in the sustainable development of the global economy. Taiwan has been an active member state of AFACT since early 1990. We have proactively orchestrated private and public resource expertise, participation, and contribution dedicated to the activity and the project of AFACT and UNCFACT. We have continued to promote sustainable tourism and to advance novel application of cross-border data exchange. Today, we are honored to have invited UNCFACT experts and professionals from India and Japan. We will share Taiwan's strategy and roadmap and look forward to learning from international panelists with the goal of establishing a consensus with the global economic communities. Aside from Taiwan being the permanent secretariat of AFACT, we have also undertaken the responsibility to be the AFACT host for 2023. And I look forward to meet delegates from AFACT member states in Japan, in Geneva, and hopefully all of you in Taiwan next year. Now, my best wishes for a successful forum today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chou, for your warm welcome remarks. Now, please take your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure and honor to introduce our speaker, Mr. Tahsin Aman Khan from India. He's the Vice Chairman of UNCFACT, and he has played a key role as a senior advisor with the government of India and as an expert for UN and also for UNCFACT Rapporteur for Asia. Now, please join us in welcoming Mr.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Honorable Minister Odi Tang, President of the Institute of Information Industry, Dr. Cheng Hong Chu, Chairman of the Board of Commerce Development Research Institute, Mr. Tang Tang, who, sorry if I have not been able to pronounce the names correctly. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of United Nations Center for Trade Facilitation and Electronic Business, and on my own behalf, I would like to thank Institute of Information Industry, Commerce Development Research Institute, and Government of Chinese Taipei for organizing this very timely forum for establishing digital economic communities in Asia Pacific under the banner of Asia Pacific Council for Trade Facilitation and Electronic Business, which we call AFACT. My thanks to people of Chinese Taipei for the love and affection they offered whenever I visited this place. I really enjoyed coming to this place because of the kind of love and affection one gets here. Asia Pacific Council for Trade Facilitation and Electronic Business is a strong institution of about 20 countries and economy. I have the pleasure of participating in the work program of this institution for from its inception. We started as UN Asia AFACT board in 1990s, and then after we migrated from there to establish an institution called AFACT in 1999. And since then, I had the honor to be associated with this institution, and I must compliment Taiwan for supporting this right from the day one. This is perhaps the reason that I am here, despite the odds of being in quarantine for 3 days in Chinese Taipei. And I love attending this forum today. Many of you may know that Chinese Taipei has the distinction of serving AFACT as its secretariat for the longest tenure. Others have worked for some shorter periods, but here we enjoyed Triple I Institute for supporting this right from the day one. AFACT signed an MOU with UNCFACT to promote and propagate the activities of UNCFACT in Asia Pacific region. And being member of the UNCFACT Bureau, I had the pleasure of facilitating this MOU from the UNCFACT side, and of course with support from Japan that time. Since UNCFACT and AFACT work program integrates public-private partnership, this UNCFACT initiative of sustainable tourism being supported by AFACT and the private sector is an initiative in the right direction. United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific is a licensed member of AFACT. Many of you may know that UNESCAP has launched a project for facilitating cross-border paperless trade in Asia Pacific region, and under the Asia Pacific region by way of introducing a fair framework agreement which basically binds member states to participate in the cross-border paperless trade environment in the Asia Pacific region and facilitate this to happen. Because till now we have been doing it with the fact that those who feel that it is appropriate, they will participate it. But this binds us to take it forward effectively. This forum of establishing digital economic communities in Asia Pacific region is positioned to complement each other. When I'm saying complement each other, means complement the work program and the activities of UN CFACT in Asia Pacific region, and also UNESCAP initiative of cross-border paperless trade, which will be of great interest for every one of us. The pandemic has taught us the importance of digital transformation, especially in the field of cross-border trade. In view of this, AFACT is well positioned to establish digital economic communities in Asia Pacific region. I wish this initiative a great success. I hope that the hosting of the AFACT by Chinese Taipei in 2023, that is next year, will give a big boost. Thank you very much for your attention. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Thank you. Please return to your seat. Thank you so much, Mr. Khan, for your enlightening perspective and valuable advice. Your enthusiasm and dedication to the work are an inspiration to all of us. Thank you. Now, we request our distinguished guest of honor, Mr. Tian-Tsai Hsu, the head of the chairman of Commerce Development Research Institute, Taiwan, to address the gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a big round of applause for Mr. Hsu.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dasin Kang, Vice Chairman of UN AFACT, Minister Audrey Tang, Dr. Cho, Head of Delegation of Taiwan of AFACT, Mr. Sachin Mehta, Mr. Akio Suzuki, distinguished speakers and our participants from various countries who have joined us both physically and virtually. Good morning to all of you. Thank you. On behalf of CDI, the co-host of AFACT Permanent Secretariat, and this forum, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to express our highest gratitude for your participation today. CDI, Commerce Development Research Institute, is the sole permanent government-sponsored think tank dedicated to development of Taiwan's service sector. We are the trusted partner for dealing with government policies and enabling initiator for industry innovation. Among others, CDI is the principal implementer of Taiwan's development policy for e-commerce. We are also the primary facilitator of digital transformation for the service industry. The newly created e-commerce working group and the well-established tourism working group of AFACT both target the important domains which CDI contributes to. CDI and III will jointly operate AFACT Permanent Secretariat and participate in UN AFACT activity. This is in line with Taiwan government's vision for a digital country and a digital economy, aka the Digital Government Program 2.0 of Taiwan, 2021 to 2025. The program focuses on three major goals: accelerating the release and the reuse of government data, utilizing people's livelihood information to create a new public governance, and using digital technologies to improve public service. In addition, Digital Nation and Innovative Economic Development Program, DG Plus, 2017 to 2025, intends to enhance digital infrastructure, reconstruct a service-based digital government, and realize a fair and active internet society with equal digital rights. We are happy to share our experience with the international community, and we are committed to promoting international cooperation in developing the digital economy and turning any challenges into opportunities. Thank you all for joining us today. I deeply hope that today inspires ideas and discussions around the ways that we can make Asia a digital economic community in the very near future. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hsu. Please take your seat. Deepest gratitude goes to Institute for Information Industry Taiwan and all staffs at Commerce Development Research Institute Taiwan for implementing such an impressive forum. Thank you. Following is a 5-minute video message from our fellow AFACT members to the forum. Although they're unable to present, the AFACT Secretariat had kindly invited them to convey their heartfelt greetings to all of us. So let's take a look at this clip.
From my home office in the Netherlands, I congratulate Taiwan on their leadership in AFACT. As you know, several Taiwanese companies are engaged in global standard setting in ISO-ISC, as well in OASIS, which I'm representing today. A vast number of our standards are in use in the Asia-Pacific region, to name a few: UBL, EBXML, and several cybersecurity standards. Newer are our open project Origin BX for digital text, digital trade using legacy and blockchain. And lastly, our intergovernmental semantic work with NIM. Wishing you a good conference and hoping to see you in the future.
Hello everyone, my name is Shinichi Shi, a committee member of the Just Pro and also the professor of Graduate School for International Administration of Josai International University. So on behalf of Just Pro, I'm very delighted to join this very important meeting. I hope all of you have a very good input and develop for the new DX. We are expecting all of you to have a good discussion about the new DX world. Okay, thanks for joining today's meeting. Okay.
Hello all the participants. I'm Hisanao Sugamata, the UNCFACT Rapporteur for Asia and Pacific region and the chair of AFACT Technology and Methodology Committee. Congratulations Chinese Taipei, and thank you Chinese Taipei to take AFACT Secretariat to organize Asia Pacific region member economies. I hope this forum will be fruitful for all of you. Thank you.
Congratulations Taiwan, and thanks to take AFACT Permanent Secretariat and organizing Asia Pacific member economies after so many efforts in AFACT to reunite. I hope the next AFACT plenary meeting will be face-to-face meeting and the first meeting since the pandemic begins. Then AFACT would be alive again. Based on my experience during around 10 years AFACT Permanent Secretary, now is a chance to reorganize the AFACT for contributions of businesses more active than before. I suggest Taiwan can handle this reorganizing with the cooperation of other region members. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Mikio Tanaka. I am from Tokyo, Japan. I am the Vice Chair of the Travel and Tourism Working Group. Congratulations Taiwan, and thank you Taiwan to take AFACT Secretariat to organize Asia Pacific region member economies. I hope to see you all in person soon.
Congratulations Taiwan, and thank you Taiwan to take AFACT Secretariat to organize the Asia Pacific region member economies forum. I'm looking forward to the work being done during this regional forum on cross-border sustainable tourism. It's important to provide support to both local and global experience programs to enable global trade and sustainable growth of experience products offered. Thank you.
Congratulations on Taiwan. Congratulations, and we appreciate you took part of the AFACT Secretariat. Appreciate also the accept the participant in the economy.
Nice to meet you. My name is Kazuyoshi Itagachi, a member of JETREC in Japan. Congratulations Taiwan, and thank you Taiwan to take APEC Secretary to organize the Asian Pacific region member economies. Thank you for inviting me to the forum. Thank you.
For sure, their heart is with us. A big thanks to all of our respected and beloved AFACT fellow members. Ladies and gentlemen, please to their warm, heartfelt wishes. Finally, I'm profusely overjoyed to take this opportunity to introduce our Minister-designate Audrey Tang, the Minister without Portfolio Executive Yuan, Taiwan, and the Minister-designate of the newly formed Ministry of Digital Affairs of Taiwan. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a big round of applause for our Minister-designate Audrey Tang.
Mr. Tassin Ahmad Khan, Mr. Sakin Mehta, Suzuki-san, Dr. Zhou Zhenghong, Mr. Xu Tiancai, distinguished guests, both here and online, good local time. It is my pleasure to be here to participate in this very important forum. I'd like first to thank the event organizer, the Asia and Pacific Council for Trade Facilitation and Electronic Businesses, AFACT Secretariat's invitation. As the first minister-designate of the Ministry of Digital Affairs, or MODA, Taiwan's first ministry with the sole focus on digital affairs, we oversee information, telecom, communications, cybersecurity, and the internet. As President Dr. Tsai Ing-wen have laid out in her expectation to our ministry, our priority would be on promoting not just the digital transformation of Taiwan, but also sharing what we have learned to people abroad. And our goal, as listed in the annual mission of the Executive Yuan for the next year, are three. The first is to shape the paradigm of co-creation in digital services and to reinforce the resilience of our government services. The second is to complete the ecosystem around data altruism, which is to expand the horizon of the empowerment of personal data, of data dignity. The third is to promote the technology on the civic side, the civic technology, and data democratization for citizens across the globe, and make the vision of our smart nation a reality. To my knowledge, AFACT and UNC-FACT, I reckon that the scope of the issues nowadays raised in your agenda items is much more than those related to facilitating cross-border paperless trade and the trade of objects. From the global digital trade and digital economy's perspective, these issues have started to shed a different light, as I mentioned, echoing the purpose of rationalities of people's dignity, of the cross-border co-creation, and endowing the ideas of cross-border trade with a more diverse and more co-creative concepts. Just one example is the Data Governance Act recently adopted by the European Union, which showcases the work, the approach of proactive altruism, co-creation to the common good. So along these lines, we wish to ensure that the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, are realized with the help of the data for good. And I see that through the panelists sharing the discussions today, I expect that they will lead us to explore this prospect of international digital trade and global data economy featured by governance, by industrial innovation, and social innovation around altruism. And such prospects are quite aligned with the upcoming policies and associated projects of the soon-to-be-founded Ministry of Digital Affairs. For today's forum, we're very pleased to have invited the experts and professionals from the UNC-FACT for discussions on the use of data to develop the ideas around data altruism, ecosystem and application, expanding the scope of data use and governance, improving the resilience while caring deeply about data privacy. I can assure you that we will all have a new understanding and experience of how to handle cross-border data exchange driven by the free flow of non-personal data and data altruism through innovative technologies. And finally, I wish today's forum a great success, and all our distinguished guests today can enjoy this half-day knowledge feast. Thank you all. Live long and prosper.
Thank you very much, Minister Designate Audrey Tang, for your incisive insights. Now, please remain on stage for a while. At the same time, I would like to call upon the following honorable guests to come on the stage for the opening ceremony. Mr. Tahsin Aman Khan, Mr. Sachin Mehta, Mr. Akio Suzuki, Mr. Tiancai Xu, and Dr. Chen Hongchuo. This year, Taiwan has become the permanent secretariat of AFACT. Before we begin the opening ceremony, we're proud and excited to announce that next year, for the year 2023, Taiwan will be hosting AFACT. And we've got a slogan for that, Go AFACT. Now, each of our honorable guests, please have your corresponding national flags ready in your hands. And I'd like to request Dr. Chen Hongchuo and Mr. Tiancai Xu also to get ready for setting up the lighting and plugging your national flags. So let's stand by for the countdown from 3. Everyone, ladies and gentlemen, upon 1, everyone, please proclaim aloud the slogan, Go AFACT with me. So, for our honorable guest, then we shall start off the official launching ceremony. Are you ready? Yes. So now, count with me. 3, 2, please move forward. Honorable guest. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Go AFACT. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the globe in front of you signifies the concept of cross-border data flow in today's digital age as a key enabler of our global digital economy, also marking the cross-border data exchanges network in digital economic communities in Asia-Pacific region. And this concludes the ceremony. And now I request, please remain on stage for a while. And now I request the rest of the honorable guests and all the panelists to come on the stage for a complete group photo. All the other panelists, please all come up to the stage. 资策会副执行长萧博仁，科技部人文及社会科学研究发展处处长林明仁，行政院国家科学及技术委员会科技办公室主任萧景登，联合国 UN CFAC 永续观光标准商业白皮书计划主持人戴东华，台湾永续旅行协会理事长陈盈杰，中华国际会议展览协会副理事长张诗婷，安永联合会计师事务所合伙人林怡贤，景益科技总经理陈义婷。Ladies and gentlemen, a very nice round of applause for our honorable guests for the outstanding launching ceremony. Thank you. Okay, let's do it one more time with our AFACT slogan. Are you ready? Please go with me with a power pose like this. Go AFACT on pong 1, okay? Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go AFACT! Okay, thank you very much. And please return to your seats. Okay. All right. Coming up right now is our panel 1. Digital trade promises new opportunities, but barriers and the growing complexity of international trade and cross-border data flows presents new challenges for policymaking as well. Today, we first have a panel on the altruism and governance value of cross-border data exchange. But before we dive into the panel discussion, I'd like to introduce our panel moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, Chen Ming-Wan, the Deputy Director of National Development Council, Executive Yuan, Taiwan. And I'm delighted to have the great honor and opportunity to introduce 4 elite experts as our panelists to exchange their valuable insights and views on the topic. Mr. Tahsin Aman Khan, Vice Chairman of UN CFACT. Dr. Mingjun Li, the Director General of Department of Humanities and Social Science, Taiwan. Mr. Yishan Ling, partner of Ernst & Young Global Limited. Mr. Tim Chen Yiting, President of TMS Technology Corporation Limited. Now, on this occasion, I would like to first invite all the guests for a group photo first. So please rise for the group photo. Yes, let's take a group photo first. All right, let's take the reserved seats on stage. The time is yours, Mr. Wan.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome all of you physically and virtually join this session. And this session, as just mentioned, that is related to the data governance and the data altruism. And I think data governance, we are all very familiar with these terms because in Taiwan, we already use this data governance to achieve our, or to help to achieve the digital services and the digital economies. So in government agencies, we use the big data to analyze the trends, and therefore we formulate the evidence-based decision. And also we use the open data to enhance the transparency and also to enhance the public-private cooperations. And also we use the my data to make precise services for our citizens with the informed consent of the individuals. However, those data governance are only the methodology or the mechanisms to use data. But how about the type of the source of data or the input of the data? So that's related to the concept we want to mention today is a data altruism. These terms are not very frequently used in our government agency or in private sectors. According to the Data Government Act of European Commissions, the terms data altruism is described as the data that is made available without reward for purely non-commercial usage and benefits the communities or society at large. So facilitating the free flow of data on the basis of altruism have great potential for the public interest. And today, it's our honor to have 4 experts to describe this kind of data altruism with some cases. And I'm sorry that we have to make some changes to the order of speakers because Dr. Lin has to attend a meeting later, so we asked him to be the first to share. And Dr. Lin is the Director General of National Science and Technology Council. He got a PhD in economics from Chicago University. He was a distinguished professor in Department of Economics of National Taiwan University. And currently, he is Asian and Australian Society of Labor Economic Executive Committee member, the East Asian Economic Association Board of Directors, Asian Workshop and Econometrics and Health Economics Organization Committees. Please welcome our first speaker, Dr. Lin. Thank you.
Dr. Wang, thank you for your introduction. And I'm here to talk about cross-national sports data network ecosystem. And it comes out from our sports technology project, 精准运科专案. Okay, so let's get started. Next slide. So sports data as a drive for a healthy future. And I think on the left-hand side, the green picture is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 3, which is good health and well-being. And we all know that sports facilitate the health of all mankind and complies with SDG Goal 3, good health and well-being. And it's very important we notice the importance of altruistic value of data and innovative technology. And I think Audrey is not here, but altruism is always in Audrey's heart, and I believe will also be in the heart of new Ministry of Digital Affairs, right? Okay, so making sports more effective in promoting health through data science in this digital age has gained attention from all over the world. And altruistic public welfare behavior triggered by the flow of cross-national sports data, which has the benefit of fewer controversies with respect to privacy apart from medical data, will greatly promote the health and well-being of mankind. However, currently there is 3 minutes? However, currently there's no international standards and a common exchange format for cross-national exchange, and this is required. And if we look at a medical world, they have this digital image and communication in medicine, DICOM, as a standard protocol to exchange data. So I think this is what we need. Next slide. But we also face challenge in linking digitalization and health. Basically, there are 4 challenges here, which are data quality, privacy and security, degree of trust, and collaboration mechanism. Next slide. Here we provide 3 models all around the world to see what we can do in the future. This is what we call our action strategies. And the first one is a TriNetX, which is the US headquartered model. And this TriNetX model drives the forward-looking innovation R&D of health by compiling the health data in the real world under the platform concept and through data sharing mechanism. It encourages researchers all over the world to use this data. So this is the model that we want to, the first model that we want to follow. And the next model is the Finland model, which is called FinData. This FinData model shapes the new healthcare industry type through the drive of data, and is the textbook case in the EU Open Data Directive. So there's a very interesting example, which is that the Takeda pharmaceutical company in Japan actually collaborated with this data set and then investigated a CT scan of lung cancer patient in Finland and then provide some new method to cure the lung cancer. So this is a very good example of the international data sharing and do some medical good. And the third one is the French model, which is called the French Health Data Hub model. This model, the French Data Hub model features data governance and construct a cross-national collaboration and exchange mechanism. they actually compile data from 56 domestic institutes in France as stakeholder. So this is also a good model that collects all the data in the country and then put it into research and social use. So these are the three models I think we can refer. Next slide. So then what's our strategy? And this slide shows that the sports data altruism platform that commissioned by NSTC and Ministry of Digital Affairs. You can see from the bottom we have three cornerstones, which are legal compliance directives for data collection, operation of data security, privacy, and data management, and the final one is innovative applications of data analysis. From these three cornerstones, we can do new services and new business models, hence achieve social responsibilities. We can also have new entertainment and new medicine, which can do new health promotion. And finally, we can also provide new policies and new ecologies, and then to achieve a sustainable society. Next slide. And so this is actually the role model that we want to follow, which is, everyone knows is a EU model, right? And this is called a EU relevant players ecosystem, 利害关系人生态系. Okay. So on the top is the Data Innovation Board, and the board govern Ethics Council, which oversees use the high standard of scientific ethics and protection of fundamental rights. And also the other one is the competent authority, which is assembled by a bunch of state agencies to oversee all the data exchange. And at the bottom will be, if the infrastructure is okay, then the data holder would trust the whole system, and then they will be willing to give permission to process data to either data users, altruism organizations, and service providers. A lot of, almost all the business actions happens at the bottom of the block, but under a good governance of the board. Next slide. Okay, so now I think what are we going to do next? I think here we want to propose two cooperation scenario, perhaps with Japan. The first one is the long-term care and school child growth. And I think we all know why we pick Japan for long-term care, because both of our society are facing a very serious aging problem. So by exchanging all this data set, I think we can collaborate together and see a lot of good use in this long-term care technology. And the second one, the second cooperation scenario we want to propose is a sports care. So we can share athlete data, and then when we want to redo the rehabilitation, then it's better that we can provide some new ways to do this. Next slide. Okay, so finally, I want to emphasize this again, that cooperation has this benefit that if we can provide a good cross-national network and ecosystem for sports health data. And the three main keywords I want to emphasize here are data altruism, industrial innovation, and data governance. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lin. I just have one quick question. In your slides, the sport data, actually, sport data mostly related to some personal data, but in your slides, it seems not the problem. So have you ever faced some challenge, or how do you overcome this kind of problems?
Yeah, of course. I think privacy and data security issue is very important now. And frankly speaking, a lot of data assessment probably are still in the legal gray area. Yeah. Okay, But for our Altruism platform, I think we emphasize decentralization, de-identification, and we anonymize the whole data set in hoping that we can build up a trustable data sharing system. And also, it's maybe at the first time, at the first step, people are voluntary to join this platform. Also, we will consult the GDPR rules. So, but I think that we pick sports data as our first cut for a reason, because it is actually less sensitive compared to medical data. And we hope if we can build a protocol here first, and then we move to the deep water. I think this is our strategy.
Okay, thank you. I think you mentioned about the health data. This must be related to the few days ago, the assessment. Okay, thank you for your sharing. And because of the time restrict, I would like to go to our second speaker. It's Mr. Thachin Amarkand. Mr. Thachin Amarkand is a Vice Chair of United Nations Center for Trade Facilitation and Economic Business. He has been working in the area of trade facilitation, electronic governance, electronic commerce, and electronic security at national and international level for about 4 decades. Okay. So he has handled major national projects in trade and industry sectors, some of which include electronic trade, electronic procurement, electronic intellectual properties, net banking, secure national and international transactions, electronic commerce act. At regional level, he is working as the advisor for United Nations network of experts on paperless trade and transport for Asia and the Pacific. At international level, he has been handling multiple assignments. Some of his current active engagements are on major global projects like ensuring legally significant trans-boundary electronic interaction, international trade and mutual recognition, blockchain for trade facilitation, Internet of Things for trade facilitation, etc. Please join me to big welcome Mr. Khan. Thank you. Excuse me, how much time I have? 5 to 10 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me for this particular session as a panelist. This presentation, when it was worked out by me, I thought I have enough of time, but now because of paucity of time, I've been allowed 5 to 10 minutes, so please allow me to skip some of the slides in this presentation process because of the fact that I would prefer this these slides would be available here, and the rest of my details of contacting me can be electronically if anyone has any question. Next slide, please. So I have divided this particular presentation into two. One is that the global initiative, which is basically I will concentrate on UNCFACT's initiative, and I would talk about the regional initiative, which talks in terms of AFACT and its association with UNCFACT, and also UNSCAP, which is in the Asia Pacific region, which facilitates many of the things which is of our interest to today's arrangement. Next slide, please. So UNCFACT, as is known to many of us, but for for those who are attending for the first time, is that it's a body under United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. One would argue that if it is a regional commission, how UNCFACT has a global remit, but the way it is designed, that out of the 5 UN regional commissions, it is housed in one of the commissions, but its nature is global. So we worked for simple, transparent, and effective processes for global business, and efficient and automated exchange of information, not only in the regional framework, but at the global framework. And our output is global trade facilitation and electronic business recommendations and standards, which you can see is available in our site, which is available free of charge. We work in a public-private sector partnership, and there are over 400 experts who are registered with us from government side as well as from businesses to meet our goals. Next, please. And we work for trade facilitation, which is basically simplification, harmonization, and standardization. And transparency is our main thrust. You would all argue, and our studies show that though at the national level a lot has been done for facilitating this, but when it comes to country participation or the cross-border exchange of information, data, document, it's really very less. And we wanted to achieve this by way of these processes of simplification, harmonization, and standardization, so that this is done. This is one issue. The other issue is that there are always fear in the mind of those who transact business electronically, whether the data is secured, it's in the right hands, and whether it meets the basic requirement. Somebody mentioned about the European Union initiatives and the acts which basically binds somebody about the data and its sharing across borders. So these are the issues. Next, please. So in order to achieve our goal, we collaborate with majority of the international institutions, so that we don't duplicate the things and we complement each other. So that's basically the way we try to do our work. Next, please. So our key outputs are mentioned here. I don't want to go into the details of it, but it really takes into consideration initially UNTDED and UN layout keys, with which AFACT is started, and our deliverables which are mentioned here, especially UN core component library, UN EDIFACT directories, UN XML schemas, and globally applicable code sets. These are all available free of charge to those who in any manner regulate or facilitate international trade. And the motive is to see that we achieve much of cross-border transactions hassle-free. Next, please. So this is the if you visit our site mentioned here, rest of it is available free of charge to you. Next, please. And now, please allow me that from here onwards, few of the slides I would like to skip to meet the timelines which are mentioned. Next, please. Can you skip 2-3 slides now? This basically by ship pay model, which we cover the complete supply chain of international trade, and that I will not deal with it at this stage, but to indicate that we work for the complete supply chain of international trade. Next, please. So we had also called for action to improve digitalization. The details are mentioned here. I will not deal with it at this stage. Next, please. So some of the initiatives which may be of interest to you, because these initiatives are done in Asia Pacific with an intent that it will be taken globally. One is transfer of MLETR compliant title, that UNCITRAL, there is an UNCITRAL model law on electronic transferable record, and that is something which doesn't happen. Negotiable maritime bill of lading, always if somebody insists for a paper, and we have tried to work out a project which facilitates this electronically, which talks in terms of addressing the issues of uniqueness, singularity, exclusive control, integrity, signature, endorsement, change of medium in the electronic environment. So when I am saying signature, I am saying electronic signature or digital signature. And when I am talking in terms of tokenomics and things like that, we are talking in terms of a blockchain-based regime we have worked out for this to happen cross-border. Next, please. The other initiative, next slide, please. The other initiative we have done in Asia Pacific is interledger exchange of preferential certificate of origin. That also is a blockchain-based initiative. This is worked out between Australia, Singapore, and China. We are in the process of doing pilot. The rest of the standardization has been done for this, and it may be of interest for other member states to join. Next, please. We all recognize that if you have to do cross-border trade, we need to very carefully identify who is on the other side of the business. Meaning thereby who is with whom I am transacting, and that is an issue, that how we identify somebody who is transacting business with you across the globe. And there should be a mechanism for us to also bind him through an electronic document which is transacted. And there are issues. There are issues in terms of how we mutually recognize each other's document. And unless there is an international agreement, that doesn't happen. Next, please. So that's how we thought digital ID and verifiable credentials are issues which perhaps we need to address. And we have a project which basically talks in terms of issues just like addressed in a smart vaccination certificate of WHO. And the project which we have firmed up, next slide please, which talks about verifiable credentials. It may be in any manner. Generally we talk in terms of decentralized verifiable credentials, in terms of understanding closely what is being transacted, who is transacting, and related issues. And this particular project talks about this. So those who have interest can see this at the address provided here. We have some projects. I come from India, and we have created a project in Indian environment that out of the 1.4 billion nationals, about 1.2 billion have been covered under a unique identification Authority of India's initiative of maintaining profile of individuals, which also integrates not only the profile but also iris and other fingerprints and other things for closely identifying somebody. And we have created an environment of the digital lockers that your credentials can rest in a digital locker which is government supported, available free of charge, and that's the way your credentials are verified. And we are trying to work out an environment that with other countries the similar arrangement can be worked out. Next, please. And data governance is the issue which we have taken up as part of our work program, but I will not go beyond that because it's necessary for cross-border trade to happen, and this needs to be addressed, but because of paucity of time I will not go beyond that. Next, please. And trusted third-party services, and next, please. And also the services to be appreciated and mutually agreed upon among the member states. That's the arrangement we are trying to work out and identify. Next, please. And e-notarization also as part of the interest in an electronic environment is an initiative which we thought is necessary for us to do it when it is cross-border. Next, please. I come to regional initiative. Next, please. So Asia Pacific Council for Trade Facilitation and Electronic Business, we have been talking in the morning. I have briefly said about it. And this is an oldest organization for promoting UN AFACT and work program of UNCFACT in Asia Pacific region. AFACT Secretariat in Taiwan has been the oldest secretariat in AFACT hosted in Taipei. AFACT has an MOU with UNCFACT for cooperation and also a cooperation arrangement with UNSCAP. So I think AFACT is well placed to facilitate this particular initiative of establishing digital economic communities in Asia Pacific region because it also has the backing of the international institutions, those who matter in this case. Next, please. What I mentioned in my morning submission to you is the UNSCAP has a framework agreement for cross-border paperless trade for Asia and the Pacific that they are trying to establish an arrangement among the member states for doing the cross-border trade. This is a very interesting initiative. And the framework agreement talks in terms of all these articles which are mentioned here. I'll not go into it beyond that because it will take time. But it would be interest for everyone to be part of this so that we facilitate this initiative of AFACT, complementing them in this initiative. Next, please. So what is the way forward? AFACT to actively work as a regional arm of UNECE, UNCFACT and UNSCAP to promote digital economy. And I think that this initiative is very much in right direction to see that we facilitate many of the things which these international institutions are promoting. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kang. Based on your last slides, would you like to emphasize that what you visualize the role of AFACT in promoting a digital economy, especially in Asia-Pacific region? Do you have any specific comment or any inspection to the AFACT?
I think what I mentioned here is that when AFACT was created, I was part to that creation in the year 1999. And that time we said our work program is that we will promote and propagate the policies and standards set by United Nations Center for Trade Facilitation and Electronic Business, which is based at Geneva. And we said we will not reinvent the wheel. We will make use of their initiatives and their outputs for the benefit of promoting this in Asia Pacific. So the establishing digital economic communities in Asia Pacific region is a very right initiative in the right time and a very good direction. And I would definitely argue that AFACT members should get benefited with this initiative, and this will really promote us in Asia Pacific region very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kang. And now our next speaker, Mr. Lin Yixian. Mr. Lin is a partner in Ernst & Young Global Limited, Taiwan. He has extensive experience in cross-border investment, supply chain management, and digital tax policies, intellectual properties and licensing structural planning, international trading and the EU CBAM green tax application of free trade agreement and double taxation agreement, transfer pricing strategies in implementation and negotiation of advanced price agreement with tax authorities in many territories, e-commerce business model design and corporate governance for MNCs. Please welcome Mr. Lin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wang's introduction. And thank you for all distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm so happy to share with you regarding the very particular issue regarding the data collection and the information exchange, especially for the carbon emission. I think this topic has been, got huge attention right worldwide recently. Environmental change, getting warmer. I think this is the timing that either, private sector or the public sector government has to take the action. It's too late, to be honest, if you don't do anything in this year, 2022. Let's jump to the next page, please. Yeah. Quick look about the taxation system. From my personal experience, when you think about the so-called data collection and the information exchange cross-border, usually come from the taxation. It's really relevant, right? From the traditional tax like income tax or the custom duty, we do already have some kinds of the banking information exchange. It's common reporting system established by the OECD model. For example, Taiwan and Japan already have the very regular banking system exchange already. And Taiwan and India government, I remember, also have certain kinds of a very special, project to exchange the banking system. And now this year, OECD also, published the so-called crypto asset framework. This is a really big impact to the digital economy for the digital information exchange, but broad issue, not really about today's conference. We are talking about the carbon emission information exchange. If you think about this terminology, why it called carbon border adjustment mechanism? Why you just call tax or the tariff, Because this is a very interesting mechanism, Think about it. EU Commission will charge huge, carbon price to the local factory, which don't do any carbon reduction. And I remember nowadays the carbon price per ton in EU ETS system is already 80 euro. It's a huge cost. Think about it. If you are the companies, or you will not try to suffer this kinds of very high carbon price, carbon cost in EU, what are you going to do? You are simply shifting your production to like Taiwan, Japan, India to do the production, which government don't charge you too much, right? But this called the carbon leakage. It will destroy all the carbon reduction, carbon neutral mechanism. So when this comes to the cross-border adjustment, you can think about that. We are using very low carbon price in Taiwan, Japan, or India, for example. We ship the product to EU market. So within the border, EU will charge back all the carbon price. In Taiwan, we only 10 euro, 10 US dollar. If you, according to the Environmental Protection Administration, probably recently, it may be only 新台币300块一吨. Okay, but EU is already 80. Someone will say it may be more than 100, 200 in the future. So this CBAM, EBAM, will be a very significant impact to the cross-border information exchange. It doesn't really, have to be think about it easily, but it's relevant. If industry or the government don't really take the action, you will face the big penalty when your product through Taiwan to EU, for example, and you will be charged a very huge penalty, which means that if you don't really fitting into this data information exchange system, then you will be kicked off out of the supply chain, either industry and Taiwan government. This is a huge issue we have to be facing nowadays. Please, next page, please. Okay, what's the agenda? EU Green Deal, do you think this is really effective? actually, they don't really think it's useful to just do the carbon emission trading system, everybody happy, you know, earn some money from the system, market, something like that. No, it's too late, you know. If you want to achieve the 2050 carbon neutral, you have to take much more aggressive action, right? You have to charge kinds of the tax, really, into the industry, make it feel harm, feel very, you know, suffering, then company will really seriously do the carbon reduction, right? Even the government, right? So if you see the agenda, why EU don't really want to charge this C-band, you know, from next year? They give you kinds of the 3 or 4 years transition period. They know the data, they know the quality, they know the accuracy of the carbon emission is not that easy to get it. They give the government, Taiwan, Japan, or India, some few years to develop a more well, you know, accuracy and quality, you know, carbon emission data, and we can do some kinds of the information exchange. We can really tracking the carbon emission per shipment, per product. Then we charge the tax, you know, and which one to charge the tax is also very interesting. If Taiwan government charge too less, EU charge higher. This is a credit system, you know. You are okay that you charge higher, then I can deduct my charge, carbon tax. But if Taiwan charge too low, then you will charge back. So this kinds of a credit system between government. What's the fundamental issue here? Data collection and information exchange. That's relevant, right? Okay, so next page, please. And you can see the agenda will be, you know, USA government will introduce in 2024, right? Earlier than the EU. That's a huge impact. So data agenda is a critical part. Industry, they need to think about what kinds of action they have to be taken, you know, to do all the so-called carbon emission data collection. And probably I forget to mention the so-called scope 1 and 2 and 3. This is relevant. Scope 1, pretty much more like the carbon emission in the factory. It's a direct. The scope 2 is more like electricity. You know, electricity will be more relevant because most of the company are now really, you know, using the carbon, you know, like steel or the aluminum. They are using more electricity. So Taipower need to supply the most irrelevant information, whether you are using the green electricity or the traditional electricity. Scope 3 will be the relevant for today's discussion. It's about the transportation. Transportation carbon emission is a very complicated area that you have to do it someday. Although this is in the scope 3, the last agenda, but it's the most relevant agenda. You know, so Taiwan government have to take some action how to collect the, you know, carbon emission from the transportation, you know, truck, you know, ship, you know, automobile or the aircraft, something like that to combine all the government level of the information in order to exchange with the other Asia-Pacific government or even EU or the USA government, something. Okay, next, please. This is the ETS system being introduced in the worldwide. So you see in Asia, pretty much, you know, Japan already have it. You know, China have it, but Taiwan have not been established the trading system yet. So it's also a critical issue that Taiwan government have to think about it. Without the trading system, you don't have the price. Without the price, you don't know the cost. That's the problem, right? So this is a really fundamental system we have to establish. But whether a country basis should really have their standalone ETS system, or we can work together with like a Japan or Indian government to set up a so-called cross-border regional ETS system is also a thinking. This is something, because EU is a system, something like that. Okay, next please. Okay. These kinds of legislation packages, so many, we don't have the time to really, you know, touch each policy one by one. But most relevant is that EU tried to move from the trading system to a so-called taxation system, e-bond. Because e-bond will be put a serious impact to the industry to increase their product cost and pricing strategy. So if there's any system in Taiwan government being initiated, you know, maybe later this year, then we'll have the difficulty to fulfill any appropriate data to the EU Commission next year. Remember, 2023 is the first year for the reporting. Although we don't don't have to pay the tax yet, 2026 or 2027, but information is already have to be provided. That's the critical part. Okay, next. Okay, ETS system, would it be work for the carbon reduction? Sorry, no. We need to have more aggressive way. So EU decides to reduce the so-called free allowance. Without the free allowance, all the companies are suffering much more carbon cost for the production. So once the free allowance being reduced under the ETS, yearly, every year, some days all the company, have to know their carbon cost to do the production. And this will be impact to all the supply chain. We have to shifting our factory maybe in Taiwan, China, or the India. This is critical. When I am presenting this presentation to many board of the listed company this year, all the board members are so worried about this issue. So remember, the first come from the pricing issue and cost issue. Our Taiwan government seems not to be take any action yet. Next, okay. Product issue. Although from the very beginning, maybe EU only want to focusing on more like a steel, iron, and aluminum, or the electricity. But this impact seems maybe only Taiwan's Zhonggang is already being impacted. But problem is that there's the upstream industry. It's not really the product from Zhonggang shipped to EU market. Lots of the downstream, industry, they do the so-called production, knife, for example, using the iron and ship to the EU market. They've been impacted for this system, and they are not really capable of dealing with this carbon emission data collection. We need some kinds of a government level to do something to help them. And if EU proposal also extension this scope to the so-called poly or the so-called chemical, then Taiwan industry will be impacted much bigger. So we have to think about which industry, which product being impacted year, longer, short term. So Taiwan government and some kinds of the agency have to think about what kinds of facility or the resource Taiwan government can be helpful for the industry to sustain the supply chain. Okay, next please. Okay, this slide actually got very huge attention when I talk to the board. If a company don't really give EU Commission actual basis, you are doing so good, you reduce the carbon emission, you are very good, you give me a kind of the actual basis, and then you can be charged less, right? If you don't do this, what are going to be paid in EU market? They are charge you very high so-called default value. Default value come from the worst case of the 10% in EU market. So if you don't do nothing in Taiwan, your product, without any data information exchange to the EU authority, you have to pay the price equal to the 10% worst cases in EU market. That's horrible. It's a penalty, right? But government in between can do something. Somehow the private sector cannot really do the actual basis, too complicated. You have the direct cost, you have the indirect cost from transportation, for example. But government level can help you for the industry based per product. These different kinds of the industry, they have a government national-wide default value. This can be accepted by the EU Commission. So somehow we have to think about it. If all the industry are being worried about the CBAM issue, Taiwan government also need to do something. Although we have the policy to do the carbon reduction, but how to managing this data reduction, carbon emission cost price into the per shipment, per product for the data transmission issue to the EU Commission. That's a relevant issue. We can help for the government, from the government to the industry. Okay, so next 2 pages will give you very quick, information exchange. The reporting system, annual reporting, quarterly reporting, what kinds of the carbon price cost you pay in Taiwan, in Japan, in India. You have to let the EU Commission know. Okay, next please. Annual information, if you pay a lot of the carbon tax in Taiwan, in EU, you can get the refund. That's a really interesting mechanism, right? If you don't charge, Taiwan government don't charge it, you pay all the carbon tax in EU. So this is kind of a very interesting and enforce the government to exchange the information, totally different from the, historical information exchange mechanism. Okay, so if you see the next page, to this kind of data flow. In Taiwan, left side, we need a so-called competent authority coming up as soon as possible. We don't have a central database yet. And this so-called competent authority need to collect all the data from the industry or from the so-called customer authority or some data from the other resource or the digital service provider, something like that, to make it clear, standard, fit into the EU standard, and you can fit to the EU CBAM authority. And in the middle, also the very critical, who is the third party can verify this kinds of the data accuracy and the quality is very relevant. So this flow is only between Taiwan and EU, for example, but think about Asia AFACT, right? Next page. For example, maybe we have a very critical component buy from the Japan, ship to Taiwan, do some more, assembling and ship to EU. Then before get to the EU, Taiwan and Japan need to have some information exchange about the carbon emission. Or the other way, Taiwan, we do have some kinds of a very good component, and we leverage India very good, production facility, right? So Taiwan government need to put all the carbon emission data to India government, and India government can fit to the EU Commission, right? This supply chain will bring a huge impact to when the 2030 coming. So I think this is really the issue and data collection and supply chain information exchange today I would like to share with you. So last page is lots of the impact area. Every impact area, the fundamental issue is the data collection. Without the data collection, either private sector or public sector cannot do anything. This is the problem. So if we really think about it, we need to take some action from today. Okay, thanks so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. I think this is a very important and insightful presentation, and this issue have to be discussed maybe by government and industry later to make a comprehensive mechanism to deal with the CBAM. So I just passed to our last speaker, Mr. Lin Yiting. Chen Yiting, sorry. Mr. Chen is currently the president of the TMS technology. TMS is an intelligent transportation society leading company in Taiwan. He is engaged in Taiwan Open Data Alliance Transportation Group as a deputy chairman. He has also held many other positions, such as the director in ITS Taiwan and Taiwan Telematics Industry Associations. Please welcome Mr. Chen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tim from TMS Taiwan. Yes, and next, okay. And I think the moderator already introduced me, and I'm also the deputy chairman of the Taiwan Open Data. So we do a lot of the data business in Taiwan, and not only for the government, and also do the data business for the global company. So I'm also have a judge experience for the data hackathon, and also be the mentor experience for the new staff company. Next. Today's, I think this website is very hard in 2 weeks ago. And because of the Nancy Pelosi and take the airplane to Taiwan, so a lot of people watch the website. So next one, the website is all data, collect the data from the open data. So they collect the data from the airplane or the airport data, and the other one they also set up some of the equipment to collect the data from the ADSB or MLAT. So it is easy to understand the airplane location and the airplane destination and the speed and the heading. Yeah. So this is the very important. We just use the open data to do some business and service. Yeah. Next one. I think I'm very interested because Mr. Lin he say in the scope 3 and transportation data is very big market. So I think in in today, and now we have a lot of the transportation type. Some in a row, and we use the passenger car, and we use the public transportation and the mass transportation, and we also need to collect the data from the roadside. So when we driving in the car, we have the signal control, and we have the passenger car. We need the parking lot information. So a lot of the city, and we collect a lot of city. So for the future, next one. Next. So you can see the city of the tomorrow. Next one. Okay, and the back one. For the city of the tomorrow, and we have an autonomous vehicle, and we also have a lot of the AI taxi, and we also have the mass transportation. So a lot of the information, we have the connected data from the cloud, and we also have a different style of a city plan, because we don't need the parking space. So a lot of the space we can become in the park, or we can passenger road. So this is very different from the city plan. Next one. So when the feature, and we have a lot of problem, because we get a lot of the data from the city road. So we need to management the big data. The other one is how to use the data for the data governance. So like the connected vehicle, and like the mass mobility and service. The other one, we have the two-field connected data. And we also have the smart corridor. We can collect a lot of the data from the roadside. So a lot of the data, we can collect the information. And all the data, we also can use this kind of the data maybe for the zero emission. We can know every passenger his OD data. Because of the OD data, they can use to for the zero emission data. We can understand its original and the destination. Next one. So I think we have the same problem, and we also have the same strategy. One is how to the cross-border transportation data. The first one is we lack of the unified data format. The second one is the privacy issue, and also have the security issue. And the third one is the industry competition and cooperation. So we need to do some strategy for this one. So the first one is to define the global standard is very important. The second one is how to make the data security and the identification mechanism. And the other one is how to build up a data sharing platform or the data marketplace. Next. This is the example I'm doing in the European. So they call the city SDK. In 2012, and they have the 8 country, they build up this kind of the city SDK. The city SDK is an open platform and for all of the city. They use the open data and became the API. So they have the 3 groups of the API. The first one is the tourism API. The second one is the Open 311. The third one is the linked data API. So I need to detail to introduction the linked data API, because this kind of the group API is in relation with the transportation. Next one. This is the city SDK linked data API. They already have the 24 API in this part. So you can see the most important one is the transit data. The second one is for the population data. And some of the data is the parking data, and maybe some of the data is the address. And some of the data is the travel time and the air quality is all in this group of the data. So this is very important, because a lot of the company, they use this kind of the data to build up their service and to build up their business. Next one. So in Taiwan, our government and MOTC, they already built up a very good open data platform. And now they already have the 2,000 of the data set and the API to open all over the world. Next one. So they also built up some of the standard for everyone because some like public transportation, they already get the data from the GTFS. And the second one is the real-time incident data and the tourism data and some kind of roadside asset data. So I think it's very important for build up to share this kind of the standard to everyone. We already have the cooperation with Japan because in Japan now for the public transportation they already use the GTFS data. Okay, next one. So I think for the future, and that is very important because an autonomous vehicle is very will be getting more popular, and for the low asset AI recognition database is very important. So in Taiwan now, III already built up the AI Formosa database. They already have the 2 million of the data set, training data set. So everyone can cooperation with them and easy to use the data set to improve your AI accuracy. Next one. So this is the one, and this is the traffic AI training data. So not only the traffic sign and also the vehicle type and some kind of the law landmark, they also build in this AI training data. Next one. And the second one is I think mass transportation is very important for every country. But Taiwan have already have this kind of standard. And the standard is also follow the global standard. So the Google here, TomTom, and already use this kind of standard. So I think follow the global standard is very important. And now we also propose this kind of the GTF standard to everyone. Okay, next one. And I think this is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. I think all our speakers are have very rich presentation, so we already run out of our time. So I have to end the session here, and please give a big applause to all the speakers. Please, thank you. And thank you for all the audience online and here. Thank you. We end this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all very valuable exchange of insights and perspectives here, all the panelists and our moderator. Please return to your seats. All right, let's take a short 5-minute tea break right now. We will have coffee and tea served in the lobby, and you will find water dispenser to the left and bathroom to the right in the lobby, right at the corner. Please note that no food or beverages indoors in the venue due to the pandemic prevention measures. Okay, let's take a break now. Ladies and gentlemen, the next session will start in just 1 minute. So please return to your seats ASAP. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, please now return to your seats since we're running a little bit late. Actually, much later than the scheduled time, so may I have your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen? Please return to your seats ASAP. Thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're about to begin panel 2. So please, the moderator and all the panelists for panel 2, please get ready. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have another great panel. So please return to your seats and we're about to start shortly. Well, I guess a 5-minute break is definitely not enough for you guys. All right, welcome back. Now for panel 2, we will be discussing the technology used for cross-border sustainable tourism in the post-epidemic era. And the experts from the field would address the issue of how digital technology could lead to sustainable tourism in the future. First, it's a great honor for me to welcome Mr. Sachin Mehta from India to be the moderator for this session. Please, let's have a round of applause for Mr. Sachin Mehta. Next, let me introduce our... Please have a seat first. Thank you. Next, let me introduce our distinguished panelists. All the panelists, please also come up to the stage. Lin Mu Yaofu, Mr. Akio Suzuki. Dai Donghua, Mr. Donghua Dai. Chen Yingjie, Mr. Monique Chen. Zhang Shiyi, Ms. Connie Chan. And again, before we start the panel, we're going to have a group photo first. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, guests, please rise. 有请摄影师。All right, let's take the reserved seats on the stage. And now the time is yours, Mr. Sachin Mehta. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
A very warm welcome to everyone who's present here and everyone who's watching us online. So COVID-19 has got a very devastating effect on tourism globally. Not only it's impacted all of our lives, but in tourism industry is one which has been hit for the most, and our recovery is quite late. So, but in my opinion, for the projects that we've been working on, I am looking at COVID-19 as a reset, which is, going to be, in future to come, it's going to be a very positive thing. The trend that it has changed, it is huge. Okay, in India, we've been seeing that, people are not traveling differently. Now they are not traveling on conventional trips. They are going for smaller places, unexplored regions. They are visiting, villas and homestays. The projects that we've been working on, and the entire tourism has now shifted from a sightseeing-based tourism to an activity-based tourism. And COVID-19 has, impacted that big time. In India, we've seen that, it's been more than 70% of tourism that has happened for activity. So that's something great. Our projects in UNCFACT that we've worked on, SLH, that is small scale lodging houses, experience program that we'll be talking about, sustainable tourism project that Tuangatai will speak. So they are actually meant, we've been working for this future that has now evolved in tourism industry, and we are already ready for it. Okay, so that's one thing that I want to say. The tourism industry is now looking at intelligent technology solutions to recover and grow. Therefore, how to apply digital technology to build trustworthy and coherent sustainable tourism standard is crucial to cross-border movement and global economic recovery. Technology application to facilitate global movement and tourism after the pandemic is what we want to, look at. Digital transformation in cross-border sustainable tourism and global supply chain these are some of the topics that we are addressing, and we want to take it ahead. With that note, I want to call upon Suzuki-san. He's been coordinator of UNCFACT for years and years, and he's kind of our guide and mentor in UNCFACT. So I'm really graced and honored to lead the project, and Suzuki-san is co-leading the experience program technical artifact project with me. And he's also director of Japanese EC promotion organization for travel and tourism and leisure. It is shortly known as JTREC. So we welcome Suzuki-san, and over to you.
Thank you for Sachin-san's introduction. My name is Akio Suzuki. I'm from Japan. and ni hao to you, I want to say first. Today, I'm very honored to be here to present my short presentation to you within limited time. So, next, please. As Sachin-san explained, this experience program's technical artifacts project is my responsible part to report today. And what I want to say here is that these two projects started 3 years ago in Taipei here. We had a very special meeting with Taiwanese experts and international experts too. And I'm very happy to say that this project will be finishing shortly after this. So I want to say what we have been doing in this project for your reference. Next, please. This is on the left-hand side, you can see green paper. Green paper is the first project we had. This is what we have to do in this project will be described in green paper. This is finished. And then we started two projects. And after we have finished the second project, Business Standards for Sustainable Tourism project, this is explained by Tom Fao-san, and we take out the working result into the technical artifacts project and make it combined and make it understood what our providing products will be sustainable products or not. That will be shown in our next step project. Okay, this shows that as Sachin-san explained now, within the countries, people try to go local side, tend to go local, but in order to vitalize local areas, this is quite efficient and this is very important. But in order to do business in local side, it is not easy. Technically, it is coming to be rather easier right now. But for capitalized matters and human resource matters, it seems to be rather difficult. So we need some support from the government or from the people who are interested in vitalizing regions or local areas of each country. Okay, next please. So I want to explain what we have done based on the UNCFACT technical specifications. This chart only shows that the use case diagram of EPS. EPS is experience programs. So this is very simple. Information requester request EPS information to information provider. Very simple, but not so simple actually. It's very simple. Next slide, please. Okay. Information, EPS information. Usually, you have to find out what information process you needed to make reservations of products, to make cancellations of products or payment of products. That should be done in the information. And buying party and selling party usually communicate products, and each party, for example, buying party has property, and selling party also has property. Product also has property. What we have to do is to find out the contents of property. This is based on the object-oriented method of UNCFACT. And we want to make smaller object clear. So selling party, for example, has price. In this case, price policy in the real name of the object, and price has also properties in usually, and product in this case belongs to selling party. Selling party has product, and product has property, as is shown. And on the buying party side, it has payment as for its smaller size property. Okay. Next, please. This shows that selling party has destination information, and destination has certain property. So we can find out big object and smaller object, where it belongs to. That will be cleared. Okay, then next. And into the future, into the further clarification, we need to find out much information on destination. The first destination is related to selling party. Selling party has a certain destination information with it, but destination has a wider sense of contents. And we need to add sustainability claim into this project in the future. Okay, go next. And this is what we are aiming in the future. As probably you know that AFACT is the first generation of DX, and XML is the second generation of DX, and we are going to have API for the third generation. AFACT XML API. In order to make API, we have RDM step, reference data model step in UNCFACT. And when we develop experience programs, EPS, you can see the green one, EPS. EPS passed the step of XML through API by RDM step. We have RDM step. This RDM shows that any information related to travel, tourism domain should be coordinated well in order to exchange data very easily. So what we want to do in the future is to combine experience programs, SLH, small-scale lodging house outputs, and all the other data or products, for example, air, rental car, hotel, and cruise, railways, a lot of products we have in the domain, in this domain. And we want to deal with all of these products or information should be transferred API under the harmonization step of RTM. Then we can talk hopefully in one language. Okay, this is what information requests are. Talk with a lot of suppliers in one sense. Okay, we need your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suzuki-san. So now we'll move on to Tungwa Tai. He's project leader of White Paper Sustainable Tourism Business Standard and at AFACT, and also director of Siloha Travels Taiwan, VIP Travels. So over to you, Tai-san, and he'll be sharing about business standards on sustainable tourism.
Thank you, Sachin. I'm the lead of the sustainable tourism right now. This is a white paper project. And allow me to explain what we are doing. This project originally was started from Taiwan also. Several years ago, we had a meeting in Danshui with Suzuki-san, and we started this project. And the first stage was the green paper stage. And that time it was led by Suzuki-san, and we finished that green paper. And now is that the white paper stage. Next. Next. Yes. And while we started this project, we had some debate about there are several other organizations already doing similar things of the sustainable tourism definition. There's one GSTC and ISO TC 228 and ISO 2140, and they are also doing something similar. But why we have to do this? Because these previous projects, they are defining about sustainability, but we are CFACT. So what we have to do is we have to define the data exchange standard for the sustainability. So if we come back to the previous slide. Yes. So the first thing we have to do is, because a tourism industry is a very big industry. It contains a lot of different sectors. So we have to define all different sectors, how many of them and who are them. And we defined about 10 sectors and different ones, like airline companies, shopping companies, travel agencies. Because in each sector, what we have to do about sustainability is all different. And then we have to map in each sector into the 17 goals. So if we times all 10 sectors to 17 goals, then we have a lot of things to do. Next. Okay, this is one of the example. For two agencies, what we have to do to match the SDG. But because not in each sector we have to do all 17 things. Because, for example, we have a goal like life below water. But an airline company has nothing to do about life below water. So at that one, we have nothing to do. So not every sector have to match all 17 goals. And at each goal, we need to have 5 levels. So we need to define what we have to done to match which level. Okay, next. 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 And about the level, the Japan team, they have done a very good job about setting up these rating systems. And this part will be done by Japan team. And next. 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 That is the way how the rating system is done. And okay, next. 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 And we are facing several challenges if we have to exchange data between cross-border about sustainability. Because, for example, if there's a hotel called Hotel A, and now if they have some data at TripAdvisor, and they have some data in Google, and they have some data in Expedia, and if we have all APIs, and the travel agency has to gather those data from all that different APIs to combine it and match it together, we don't know who they are, because the Hotel A at TripAdvisor, they have a name, they have a code. And Hotel A has another code at Google, and they have another code at Expedia. So when a travel agency or consumer getting that data from the API, they don't know which is which. So who is the one who can define the ID for Hotel A? Because if we set up a big organization to give up all that old IDs, and that organization have to be a very big organization and cross-border, and maybe, but the data is huge. So how is it able to control that? But this way was used in IATA. IATA is using that way already. And like IMO, as shipping industry, they're giving out unique ID to every ship. But if in travel industry, if there's an organization have to give out all the IDs to every destination and every hotels, every restaurants, that would be a huge job, which is impossible. So, but we are living in a decentralized era right now. So at the moment we found there's a mechanism at Bitcoin. It's called decentralized ID. And it's just invented not long ago. So maybe that will be a good solution for this challenge. Okay, next. So this is a good example because we are a travel agency. My company is a travel agency. And we are going to Jordan. And there's a city called, I forgot the name, Jurash, right? And here's a restaurant called Green Valley Restaurant. I've been there to check that restaurant, which is a very good one. And when my groups go, it's a different one. And my customer, they complained about the quality. And I was curious about that because I've been there. I know the place. And then I checked the Google. Every restaurant there are called Green Valley Restaurant because the city is called Green Valley. So every restaurant there is called Green Valley Restaurant. So how do we know which is which? That is a big problem. Okay, next. And the second challenge about this is in travel industry, we don't sell the product itself to the customer. We combine the components and make it a package and sell that package to another person. And that another person might be another middleman too. And that middleman will combine something else and make it another bigger package and sell it to the traveler. So during these middlemen, how do we exchange data by that API? So we might have to define a way to make it a BOM system, like in the ERP. So say like at day one, where do we go at day one in the morning, and what do we eat, and what do we go at the afternoon, and where do we stay, and make it a BOM, make it a BOM. And that BOM, maybe we have to hide some information. We don't show everything to our customer. And then our customer might have to combine something else and make it another BOM and sell it to another layer. And so while we're defining this API, we have to define a multi-layer BOM API. Okay, next. So at the end, we have to give out this logo to every business player in the industry. And for what they have done as an indicator for each color. So by looking at this indicator, it's very easy to understand what they have done good in which goal, and what they have done nothing in which goal. That will be very easy to understand by looking at the colors. Next. So at next stage, we have to exchange these data each other cross-border or non-cross-border. And we have to define the API for organizations to exchange that data. Next. But organizations might go bankrupt. They might disappear. So we have blockchain right now. So also we have to define how do we save that data into blockchain. And the other organization, if they need that data, they can get it from the blockchain, but not from the API. Next. So if we accomplish this, the whole thing, we will have a standard for API exchange. Then everyone, individuals or companies or organizations, they can exchange data from the API, or they can save it to the blockchain and take it out from the blockchain. Okay, that's all we have to do. Thank you.
Thank you. So as Tunga mentioned, we started from green papers, and Tunga, by the way, I was leading the project, me and Suzuki-san, similarly, we were leading it. And from one project, we made it two, and it's a gradual thing. So sustainability is the topic today, and we are looking at how we can create sustainable tourism. And we have Monique Chen with us, and she's chairman of Sustainable Travel Taiwan. And Monique, I want to ask you, from your experience, what may be the gap in global to sustainable data exchange?
Okay.
Thank you.
Answer now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In general speaking, sustainable tourism is a management system. So it's meant to help the organization to improve their achievement in their sustainable behavior, but not exactly ask them like carbon emission, how much or how many you exactly have to achieve. So no matter we have a similar standard in sustainable tourism, but each of the certification bodies, they have a different logistic in auditing their customers. So in this case, there might be some gap in between with the content Donghua just delivered. So this might the part we can discuss later.
Okay.
Okay, so everyone, good morning. It's my honor to be here to share my experience with you about global sustainable tourism standard and the certification bodies. And I'm the chair of the Sustainable Travel Taiwan and also the GSTC certified trainer in Taiwan. Next one. Yeah. As Sachin just mentioned, global tourism industry has suffering from the pandemic for 2.5 years. So from the slide, you can see the priority for tourism recovery published by UNWTO at 2020. There are 7 guidelines for recovery of tourism industry, and the 7th one is innovation and sustainability, which means like sustainable tourism will be the must in the post-pandemic area. Next one, please. So Sustainable Travel Taiwan has been founded for nearly 11 years. And our main target is to implement the GSTC Sustainable Tourism criteria and standard into the tourism industry and the DMOs in Taiwan. And this, the best strategy we are using is a certification scheme. We use the certification scheme as the tool to help the industry and the DMOs to implement their sustainable actions and to build up their own sustainable system. Next one. So what is GSTC? So today I'm talking about the standard more. That's back to the time in 2007. And there were many green labels in the world. There are more than 200 green labels. And it made much confusion of, because each of the labels, they have a different logistic and definitions in sustainability. Next one. In order to unify the global sustainable tourism standard, and there were 32 organizations, they initiated a Global Sustainable Tourism Council called GSTC. And from the screen, you can see the founders, main founders are UNEP, and United Nations Foundation, and Rainforest Alliance, and the UNWTO. And GSTC is regarded as the accreditation body, so it's the leading global authority in establishing and the management standard for sustainable tourism. So if you are interested about the criteria, there are 2 sets of criteria. One is for industry criteria, and the other is for destination criteria. You can all find them on the internet and with different languages. Okay, next one. So as I mentioned, GSTC's part of the job is to recognize the certification body's standard and also to accredit the certification body's scheme. So GSTC is kind of help each other to formulate a similar sustainable language, which help the businesses to find their right sustainable partner in the world supply chain. Yeah, so what are GSTC criteria? There are many criteria, and they are split into 4 pillars, 4 main pillars. They are sustainable management and social, economic, cultural heritage, and environment, the 4 pillars. And if you ask me, I will say it's like a ESG. People well known today, ESG of the tourism industry. Next one. Yeah, so here I'm not going to share the definition of sustainable tourism, but I'm going to share the characteristic of the sustainability. And this might be important for the data exchange. Sustainability has a complicated and a simple part. And for the complicated part, sustainability is a complicated word. That is not easy to translate in different language because it is about the management system. But it is easy to feel that it's something really difficult or special, best left to the expert. But however, it is not. The basic principle of sustainability is the balance. So everyone can integrate their sustainable actions in their daily life and when they are working. So that's the simple part. And if we look at the certification, what my job is the sustainable certification, and it will be more about the complicated part. We audit the company to make sure if the hotel or a travel agent, they have a sustainable system to operate their everyday work, internal and external. So it's not a single action or only a tool. Next one. If we talk about the data exchange or API sustainable performance on internet, and I will classify it into the complicated part and the simple part from the experience I work with different certification bodies. And if an organization who are certified by second or third party, which means the organization or the company, they comply to the sustainable performance with the complicated part. But if the sustainable action, it might be more like the first party self-assessment. So when we are doing data exchange, we have to make sure what kind of message we are deliver. Next one. This should be the last page of my presentation. There are many stakeholders in sustainable tourism supply chain. And when you look at the screen, we can see the agent may be most of the time the one who has to communicate with many different suppliers and the customers. So in this case, eco label or green label or standard will help the agents quickly and more efficiently to find the right message and the data what they need. But however, not every of the suppliers they participate the certification program. So the topic today, the digital the data exchange will help the development of sustainable tourism. So from my point of view, I wish that and expecting the future digital data exchanging sustainable performance, no matter B2B or B2C, or I see today the B2G. Yeah, it might can be incompatible to certification body's existing system. In this case, the certification body will can adopt those digital data exchange easily and more efficient, and make the data exchange more credibility. Also can enhance the development of sustainable tourism. Thank you. This is all my sharing today, and thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much. So now we move on to our next panelist, and she's somebody who's already implemented sustainable tourism in our organization. So we welcome Connie Chang, Vice President of Taiwan Convention and Exhibition Association, and General Manager of Golden Foundation Tours Corporation. Connie, welcome. And
thank you, Sachin. Yeah. Good morning. I'm Connie Chen from Golden Foundation Tours, and it is my greatest pleasure to participate in the panel and to have the chance to share our story. Yeah, it is a story. I believe that all the attendees sitting here, your life or job has already more or less involved with the word sustainability. So now I'm going to share the story of my company, Golden Foundation Tours, an inbound tour operator in Taiwan. For this year will be the 51st year of our company. And Golden Foundation Tours has always dedicated in inbound tourism to introduce Taiwan as a beautiful tourist destination for the visitors from different parts of the world. Next, please. So, how close between sustainability and us? Take my company, for example. The word sustainability first struck me when I attended ITB Berlin, which is the world's biggest trade show in tourism in the world, for about 7 or 8 years ago. And I sense that more and more of my clients ask me if Golden Foundation Tours has planned anything concerning sustainability. However, at that time, we didn't really think about it. Next, please. But in 2018 and in 2019, when the cruise lines, the major cruise lines in the world, like Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines and Carnival Cruise Lines, which are the clients we worked for with many years, started to request that Golden Foundation Tours to better prepare ourselves with sustainability accreditation. Otherwise, we might lose our competitive edge in their global suppliers competition. So it is not a very romantic encounter between me and sustainability. It is a crucial business choice that either we change ourselves or we will fall behind. Next page, please. So when we wanted to become a sustainable tour operator in a very efficient and effective way, we need a system, a set of tools that can assist us in sustainability management sustainably. And we know that we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we are looking at international recognized certification bodies, a certification which can looking that our overseas clients know what the logo recognizes and stands for. So we chose to go with Travel Life, which Monique also shared in her presentation, because it offers a wide range of services which include training, management, planning and reporting system, and certification and promotion, and the B2B tools to support us on our road to sustainability. A system that helps tour operators and the travel agencies to manage and improve our social and environmental impacts by complying with sustainability criteria. Next, please. For the past 2 years, where the tourism industry really stands still because of the pandemic, Golden Foundation Tours took the 2 years, and through the 2 years of hard work, by complying with about 144 criteria concerning sustainability management. So we've become the first tour company in Taiwan who has received Travel Life Award. And we are now the Travel Life partner from last year. Next one, please. We realized that when we want to transform ourselves to a sustainable tour operator, it is really about our prioritization regarding the business operation, and we need to set up goals and commitments and implement strategies and commitments from internal to external. We need to inform and ensure that each employee is fully aware of the company's sustainability policy and implement the practices. And we need to encourage our employees to propose the products and the practices with less negative impacts to the community and to our destination. And we need to minimize the environmental impacts of our practices. We need to cooperate with partners and the suppliers which put sustainable value at front. Next, please. Additionally, we want to merge those cultural and social elements and experiences into our activities and improve the cultural inheritance and the social development. And we have to review our sustainability performance. And internally, we need to implement in the 3R principle and the buy local principle. Next, please, because I have only 1 minute left. Next, please. Yeah, like I just shared that the 3R principle that we implement internally in our office. And next, please. And most importantly, we need to establish the sustainability, the green team, to responsible for providing sustainability training to our employees and monitoring the sustainability actions and outcome every 2 months. Next, please. Next, please. So for the tour operator, we have so many suppliers and the stakeholders online. Externally, we have to align our manner and the practices for sustainability to bring the cultural, the social, the environmental, and economic benefits to the destinations. And in order to achieve these goals, we have our sustainability standards for service provider, which specify the requirements demanded for all service provider for Golden Foundation tours. And we're also working on education process with the tour guides and our customers with green products that minimize the environment impacts and to bring more benefits to the local economies. Next, please. So not only to influence our suppliers, we also like to influence more sectors of the travel industry to understand the ideas of sustainability and sustainable tourism. Next, please. And even to adopt into actions. For example, from last year till now, we actively cooperate with Association for Cruise Development Taiwan to promote the concept of sustainable travel and carry multiple workshops with local sustainable groups in order to build a sustainable destination database on those offshore islands and integrate the process for internal staff to design the itinerary with the efforts. We found out that quite a few new excursions which promote local economy development and cultural preservation. Next one, please. So that's about my sharing. And this is a story regarding the path of a tour company to become a sustainable tour operator. But I think on the process, there are so many data exchange we need to be done to align the practices, the sustainable operations of the supply chain. And I'm sure that's something that we can look for the answers during this panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So with that note, we are already, close to our time. But we've been already on the journey, and we, congratulations that you've already, have your company be sustainable tourism company. And with that note, we'd like to conclude this, and thank you so much. Yes, Khan sir. Yes, please. Tyson.
Much. Thank you, Sachin. My little input, not a question to Tang Wei. He has raised a very important and valid issue about how to uniquely identify individual hotels, for that matter, in your setup. we have been struggling in UNCFACT to address a wider subject, not only to identify hotel industry, but every business entities to be identified across the globe. That is a bigger concern. And that too in a verifiable manner, in a decentralized environment, because centralized would be that you create multiple UN bodies to address that. This was a matter of interest and concern to us, and we have generated a white paper on verifiable credentials, and that to decentralized credentials, which conforms to the W3C standards for verifiable credentials. This white paper has been approved by the UNCFACT Bureau only 10 days back, and it's going to be hosted on the website of UNCFACT. Maybe of great interest to you and to your industry, that not only we are trying to identify a hotel, but we are trying to identify all the businesses across the globe, and the manner that it should be done in a decentralized, verifiable manner. So that may be interest to the complete hotel industry, and may be interest to you as the project lead. Thank you very much, Sachin, for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your input. And with that note, really being from tourism industry, we hope that COVID has gone, and now, peace prevails in the world. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sachin Mehta. Mr. Mehta is the domain coordinator of travel and tourism domain of UNCFACT, and definitely a lot of experts from this panelist. So something to ponder on when it comes to the future of well-being in a tech-saturated digital world. But great, wonderful, wonderful conversation. Thank you very much again. So please return to your seats. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to bring this forum to an end, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the forum, we announced that Taiwan will be hosting AFACT next year in 2023. So we're committed to achieving sustainable development in its three dimensions. That is digital, economic, and environmental, and a broader spectrum as the development of human civilization in a more balanced and much integrated manner. So we sincerely hope the above mentioned can be promoted through AFACT and many other like-minded regional organizations to achieve a goal of well-being of the present and future generations. Finally, let me conclude the forum by thanking all of you for your time and your valuable insights. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all again for attending Establishing Digital Economic Communities in Asia-Pacific Region Forum, both online and on-site. I would like to thank all participants for your interest and efforts in helping us to make this forum possible. And my special thanks goes to those who have traveled great distance to be here. And equally important is the need to recognize the active and continuous engagement of AFACT Permanent Secretariat. And my appreciation also goes to those who work behind the scenes. It is our earnest hope that this visit, your visit, will prove pleasant and rewarding for you. And I hope combining on-site and online, this renewed sense of togetherness will be felt for many, many years to come. Thank you all. Thank you. Our venue will be closing at 12:30. So you actually welcome to stay a bit with us for further networking. And I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon ahead. And goodbye.